Hi, everyone. We have author Derrick Bonner here, and he's going to tell us a little bit about himself.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Derrick Bonner, and I'm the author of two books. Well, the series is called The Trouble Consultant Chronicles, Volume One and Volume Two. Working on Volume Three currently. Here's the first one, Havoc and Mayhem, and the second one, Major Havoc. Basically, these books are set in the '80s. The story is about a guy named Tommy Strong, and basically, he had some hardship with money, and life wasn't going too well for him. And he realized one thing he did have was he was a pretty decent fighter, and he also knows that growing up in Brooklyn, we're not always quick to want to go to the police if we have problems. So and him being a self-made man and entrepreneur, he decided to become what he's called a trouble consultant, where he solved problems for a fee. And basically, it's a fun, adventurous story. It's a nice little break from a lot of stories that are out there where, a lot of books are out there and, there's a lot of love stories. There's some, I guess they're called trap books or something where they're about hood stories and all that. So mine's a little different. Mine is it's a love story. It's definitely, he's in a love triangle. Very funny. It's very nostalgic. It's a lot of action. It's a lot of nostalgia, heavy on the nostalgia. I'm from the '80s. I'm 51. I'll be 52 in January, and I grew up in Brooklyn. So I wanted to merge a couple of things I love, Brooklyn and the community. And growing up, one of my favorite shows was called A Man Called Hawk. I'm sure you never heard of it. No, right? Okay.
No.
Well, it was basically about a brother. He did something similar. He dressed impeccably. He was very into his culture. He played chess. He was about civil rights, and I merge all that. And it's not just a little action story. There's a lot of layers to it. I talk about what's going on in the community. Like currently, right now, for instance, the third book, I'm touching on the Yusef Hawkins trial and how it divided the city, and I merged that into this story plot where now he's helping out people. He's dealing with crooked cops, stuff like that. Other stories prior to that, I talked about jazz and the Harlem Renaissance and how that affected our culture. The characters aren't just your typical one-dimensional characters. They're layered. He has a sister named Titi who has special needs, and he deals with that. And he also is a mama's boy at heart. There's some real funny scenes in there. Yeah, it goes to a Tyler Perry kind of moment when she has a birthday party and the whole gang comes through, and I'm very also big on talking about music.
Okay.
And so I also use music as a character also. Like when the book first starts, the New Year's Eve ball is dropping, and Red Alert's on the radio talking, and I mentioned a lot of '80s music, and not to mention the styles and the clothes we wore, because I really wore some wild stuff back in the days, from '80s to Kangos to.
I saw the Kango on the front of the book there.
Yeah, exactly. Even when I do book readings, like I just did something the other day in the Bronx. They had a pop-up book fair, and I dress old school. I'm kind of jealous because I have a backdrop I usually bring to my events, and it's real '80s and graffitied out. I should have hung it up, but like I said, I try to run upstairs to hide from the kids. But I was actually about to do it in the basement, but they took control of the whole house. I said, but I'm seeing that your backdrop and think, oh man, I should have had mine up too. But yeah, but it's very '80s. But here's the thing: even if you weren't born in the '80s, there are a lot of period movies that we love. That come out that are set in the '70s, '60s, and we just get caught up in the characters and what's going on. And this is like that. And also, I noticed a lot of '80s stories don't really show us in the best light. They usually show us as greasy haired guys that are popping and locking, and we're like afterthoughts, or we're just heavy into negative stuff. And I wanted to flip that. Now, are there some crazy knuckleheads in characters in my story? Sure. But it balances it out. Like I said, there's a family in here. There's a love triangle. He's very big on his community. He's very big on loving Black women. He wears that like a badge of honor. He loves Black women, maybe to a fault, but he's having fun. And it's a real fun story. I've been doing pretty well on Amazon. I could do a shout out, www.havocandmayhem.net. That's the main website. And on there, my wife did a real awesome job of building it. There's music on there, there's videos on there, obviously the books, there's merchandise on there. There are pictures on there. I've been getting a lot of love also from the hip hop community. Red Alert, Rod Digger, Grand Poobah, Jadakiss. They've all bought copies. They've all allowed me to take a picture of them with the books they purchased from me and put them on my site, Rod Digger. Like in the second book, Major Havoc, there's a foreword by a guy named Little Rodney C. He's one of the very first guys to do it. He was in a group called Double Trouble back in the 70s, the early 80s. Okay. There are mentions in there, Grandmaster Flash, I'm sorry, Melly Mel, Grand Poobah, Rod Digger, they all do shout outs in my book. So, slowly but surely I'm starting to, get my little name out there, and I'm having a good time, and it's a fun book. It's not nothing to take too seriously, but I do try to drop a little bit of jewels. I do try to talk about things that are going on and just make a way. I don't want to come off preachy because we have enough of that, but it's a fun book. And so far I've been getting a lot of positive feedback. One thing a lot of people are saying is it's a nice change from the norm, because a lot of people are, usually buy, the romance books, or, the sister that she has it all. She has the six-figure income, the corner office, but she can't find a man. And then she has a sassy girlfriend. And that's good. That's cool in the game. I love those stories. As a man, I love those stories, but I just wanted to do something different, and not to mention, I just wanted to see us shown in a better light. So, I've heard people say, if you want to read a book that, about something you like, write it. And
yes,
that's what I did.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And are you self-published? I'm
self-published. Getting into this business is really tough. I've come pretty close a couple times. I don't want to shout out the publishing houses, but there was one that had me. I thought I might have done it for a minute. I was like, oh, okay. But you know how this business is. You come real close and then you get knocked back a few yards. But as somebody who's in the business, a good friend of mine told me, it might be a good thing, because you get signed, they own part of your stuff, and then they could turn around and pull everything you've been doing. Because I've been promoting, and like if you go on my Facebook page or you go on my my website, I've been promoting and working hard at this for a long time. They'll snatch all that stuff up. Then you only get a certain amount of money, and they take off the top, and it could get a little tricky. So maybe this is for the best right now. We'll see where this journey takes me.
Absolutely. And you control your own destiny,
which is a beautiful thing.
Yes.
Let's look at our brother Tyler Perry. Went from living in a car to having his name on the highway.
Yes.
And, and it's all his.
Yes.
Hey.
So now tell us what inspired you to start writing.
Okay. It's a cool story, but a sad story, because good friend of mine who I lost recently to COVID. That really messed me up. I worked with him years ago at a job, and he was reading a book by an author named Donald Goines. And I was like, what is this book? And and then he was like, well, pass it to you. It was called Dope Fiend. And that was really my intro into it, because his writing style was so visual. It was so, you could smell the smells, taste. It was just like, wow. It was almost like that movie, The Nightmare Before. Now, what's that movie, The Christmas Carol? When the character is in the room with the ghost, but watching everything going on as it's happening. It was kind of like that. I mean, my analogy is a little crazy. What I'm saying is, I really felt like I really felt like I was really in the room with these characters. Is what I'm getting at. And from there, it made me want to be a writer. Okay. So then I took some years ago. I took some non-credit courses at NYU, just to get an understanding of how your headers, your footers. I took a writing course, and I was on my way. And from there, I would go to different events. I mean, over the years, I've rubbed elbows with Terry McMillan, Terry Woods. Oh my goodness, just a lot of people. I'm not trying to name them. I'm just saying I've come, I've coming up seeing people really doing their thing, and it made me want to, inspired me, to want to do
Yes.
it. And that's pretty much what inspired me. And also, like I said, wanting to tell a different kind of story, because it seemed like once most of us, like you'll have the main ones that'll write a really good story, but you'll have the other ones. So I don't really think their heart is really in it. They just see that they're doing something, and they're thinking, oh, I can do that. Or, they try to jump on their bandwagon instead of doing their own thing. And that's what I'm trying to do, my own thing, and, and just, get my own little slice of pie, so to speak.
And how long did it take you to finish writing your first book?
Wow, it takes me about 6 months to almost a year, because I'll just straight write it, then I'll go back and do rewrites, and then I'll get inspired. I'll hear something on the news, or somebody will say something, and before you know it, I'm back at it again. So, but from the moment I start writing to the point where it's in the printing press and it's being cranked out to an actual book, almost a year.
And where can we find you on social media?
You can find me at www.havocandmayhem.net. I'm on Amazon. Both books are doing well. Actually, Havoc and Mayhem is almost sold out. So guys, word up, heads up. If you want to, they make really good stocking stuffers. They're going fast. They're $19.99. As you can see, they're pretty thick. And I like to say that you get more book for your buck. A lot of people, some people I think they were just being nice when they would come to my table and just want to support me. And they, and then I would get an email from them, like maybe a week or so later, like, I thought this might be a hard, long read because it's a big book. And I found myself already at the end. And I'm not just saying that, it's real talk. My Facebook page, it's DEEAYBEEDAB. And on there, I have book trailers. I'm actually made actual book trailers and so forth. But I also, I post a lot of comments and a lot of people who bought the book and hold it up, just to show that, it's just not my aunties and them, it's other people that, it's a lot of people that supporting me. And I also post the reviews, just to show that, I'm getting a lot of love here, and so what a lot of people say is, wow, this was, I thought it was, it was a thick book. I thought it was going to take me a minute, but I found myself at the end of it, and one in the second book and one in the third book. So, I think I'm onto something here, and I'm really having a good time.
That's good. And what do you hope readers take away from reading your book?
That's a good question. I would say that the period that I'm writing in, just reflect back on that, because it was more about a time when we all looked out for each other. The 80s, like I said, and if most people, if they think about the 80s, they think about these movies like that are based in the suburbs, and these kids that have it all, and they go to school, they drive to school, and they wear their Izod collars flipped up, and they have slick back blonde hair, and they're living this great life. They had fencing classes in high school. But living in Brooklyn in the 80s, we had some great times too, and we had a real strong sense, like I said, of community, and we looked out for each other, and not to mention the music, the music was just, I'm not hating on any music today, but there was just a lot more soul and a lot more heart in music back in the 70s and the 80s, and Luther Vandross, or hip hop, the golden era of hip hop. And I speak about that. I do, like I said, once again, not to be preachy, but I take you on a little bit of a journey and talk about the history of hip hop. I have characters discussing it amongst each other, and that's what they can take away from it also. And just that there are more types of books out there. Like I said, some people may be getting tired of those trap boy books that about the drug dealers and the rough life and the power kind of stories, and they may want to read something that's funny. but also it educates and it enlightens. They may want to read something like that. So I'm definitely your man for that.
And do you have any tips out there for any aspiring authors?
Yes, definitely. First of all, don't try to follow anybody who before you. You can be a fan of somebody, but don't try to mimic what they did. Mm. Whatever kind of story you have in your mind, it could be. I mean, if you want to write a story about a black wizard, like a Harry Potter kind of story, go for it. If you want to write a story about a time traveler, go. We don't, just be creative with it. Don't try to follow somebody else's route, because it might lead you down their path and you might not like their path. Be you. Educate yourself on the business. Reach out to beautiful sisters like yourself who have platforms like this that can also promote your stuff. And just remember that, like I said, we were talking about Tyler Perry earlier. This is the man who sat in his car and who believed in his story. Or talking about Harry Potter. This is the woman who she was going through a hard time, and all she had was just that idea for that Potter story. And look at them now. You never know. I mean, you never know. But if the only way it's going to happen is if you go for it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And is there anything else that you would like to tell us about your book?
Well, I don't want to give too much because I don't want to give away the plots. I refer to it as urban movie style chaos on a written page. And that's pretty much a roller coaster. Like I said, I enlighten, I educate, and I entertain with my stories. They're funny. They're all that in a bag of chips. And especially with this COVID and us being stuck in the house, grab yourself a copy, curl up on the couch somewhere, and take a time trip back to the 80s. You're gonna have a good time.
And give me your Instagram name.
Havoc Mayhem, just one word, Havoc Mayhem. Check me out. Havoc Mayhem. Havoc Mayhem Instagram. DeayBeedab. Because my name is Derrick Anthony Bonner, so I was trying to be a little different with it. That's my Facebook page. Or just www.havocandmayhem.net. Any three of those ways, try any three of those. You're going to find my books. You're going to find what I'm up to. Any events I'm doing. And like I said, the holidays are coming, everybody. And these will look really nice in your stockings right there. I'm telling you. I promise you. Reach out to me if you're out there, you purchase the book. I always love it when people hold their book up and take a picture. I put it on my site. I love reviews. Even reviews that, even if you weren't feeling something or you had a problem with something, let me know. I have a couple of readers who talk to me offline. They DM me, and while they love it, they felt that, you know what, I felt they could have done that, or I felt they could have done that. And I listen. I've actually put some of the stuff that people told me about after reading the first one in the second one. There's a long discussion with one of the characters about Black women and his issues with how some Black men, when they make it to a certain point in life, they forget about sisters, and they have this long back and forth. And he's like, that really ticks him off. And he talks about how he's going into the barbershop, had to shut it down. But he's like, you're not going to be up in here talking about sisters around me because you got a couple of coins and now you got a little Becky. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so they have real deep conversations. They're conversations that characters are having over spades games. There's a hilarious character in there named Uncle Boobs. And there's more to him than meets the eye. And he's an old school guy from the South, and he has these old sayings. And, and if that gives you any kind of idea what this book is about, it's more than just a heroic fantasy story. It's on point.
That's great. Congratulations. I wish you much continued success.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
No problem.
As we speak now, I'm working on the third Trouble Consultant Chronicles book, Volume 3, Wreck Havoc. So I would love to do this with you again in the near future.
Yes. Just let me know when you're ready.
I will definitely know when I'm ready.
Yes.
It was a pleasure, sister. Thank you. God bless.
Yeah, you too.
And happy holidays.
Same to you.
All right.
Bye-bye. All right, everyone. That was author Derrick Bonner telling us about his books. Make sure you go purchase a copy. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this video below.